After some brief profit taking to end 2025, the momentum continues in these tech names. And joining me now is Chris Versace, CIO at Tematica Research. Chris, great to see you this morning. Joining us down there in Virginia, we got to talk tech. Of course, those are the hot bets this year, and today's CES is underway in Las Vegas. What are you watching?
Well, I think much like a lot of other folks, we're looking for a lot of confirmation and arguably, Kristen, what's next on several fronts, whether it's, AI and data center, like we heard last night from NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, or other new product categories that will be hitting the shelves, or even refresh products. AI PCs, for example, smartphones. You talked about smart glasses. We're looking for all of these and trying to connect the dots back to who are the companies that are going to position the technology that enables these devices to come to market, kind of a second derivative play, if you will.
Mm-hmm. What kind of momentum does CES give the technology sector as we set up 2026?
So I think it gives a lot of momentum. Again, a lot of waves of announcements for products that are coming later this year, things we can look forward to, but it also, we get a lot of high-level, thoughts, thinking, and expectation setting. Again, just looking at the keynotes from last night. And I think when we really think about the technology markets, it's about the future. So when we hear Jensen Huang come out and talk about how NVIDIA is moving, obviously very strongly in AI and data center, but moving quickly and with force into other areas, whether it's robotics or autonomous driving, this helps reaffirm the vision that these newer technologies are on the horizon. And I think that gets people excited.
Yeah. So are you anticipating that these technology names, specifically the AI trades, Chris, that worked in 2025 will continue to lead the market in 2026?
I do. So when we talk about companies like NVIDIA, Broadcom, or Marvell, the chip stocks there, the things that we're tracking are AI adoption and usage. And really, Kristen, if you trace this back, this is like a really nice time-tested strategy, because we can bring it back to smartphone adoption and usage. We can bring it back to internet adoption and usage. And as long as we continue to see not only the adoption levels rise, but really the usage levels rise, I think it means that we're going to continue to see the need for incremental capacity, both for data center, but other aspects of the digital infrastructure. So for us, we're really paying very close attention to consumer AI adoption, whether it's with PCs, smartphones, or models like ChatGPT, Anthropic, but also what are we seeing in the enterprise, really leaning on what companies from ServiceNow, SAP, Salesforce, and the others are seeing.
What is your overall target for the S&P 500 at the end of 2026, Chris? And is it a smooth ride to that point?
That is a wonderful question, Kristen, and I'm going to disappoint you because I don't have an answer. And the reason I say that is, as an investor running the Street Pro portfolio, as well as a bunch of thematically driven models at Tematica, we're not buyers of the market, right? We're looking for companies that are poised to outperform, benefiting from multi-year structural tailwinds and the intersecting landscapes of technology. Obviously, we're talking about that today, but also demographics, psychographics, and other things. Having said that, do I see another double-digit year ahead for the S&P 500? Questionable, given where the current PE multiple is. I think it's really going to come down to a couple of factors. The biggest one is going to be, will we get guidance in the coming weeks that reaffirms the near 14% EPS growth the market seems to think the S&P 500 will deliver in 2026. There are reasons to think that we could see that. There are also reasons to think that we may not see that. And I think the next couple of weeks will really kind of help reaffirm one way or another, and we'll have a better sense of how far the market can go.
Mm-hmm. How are geopolitics factored into your outlook for 2026, Chris? And I ask that based on the storylines that unfolded over the weekend. The market, in fact, though, on Monday, seen very strong gains.
Yeah, I mean, look, geopolitical events were not only an issue last year, but, as you point out, it looks like they're going to be an issue this year as well. And they bring a lot of uncertainty into the market. And more often than not, there tends to be a knee-jerk reaction. Case in point with what we saw, over the weekend, our message to folks was, look, We're already seeing the messaging start to, evolve over the U.S.'s role in Venezuela. First, we hear they're going to be running the country, and then yesterday, front page of the New York Times, Marco Rubio starts to walk those comments back. So, we have to tread a little carefully. But for things like that, you maybe want to have some exposure to gold or some other nice, commodities that will benefit. In the case of Venezuela, one of the things we're looking at, and I'm sure others are the oil service providers, depending on what plays out.
All right, Chris Versace, CIO at Tematica Research. Chris, thanks so much for joining, and happy 2026.
Same to you, and thank you.